The situation is we're a small market, and we have to make a decision if this is what we want to do.
A new arena in Oklahoma City, one step closer to becoming a reality. The city council voting to approve a letter of intent with the Oklahoma City Thunder and call the citywide special election to build a new arena for the Thunder.
Well, tonight we're digging into the debate surrounding this proposal. City officials say it's vital to the future of our city, but some still have concerns about how it would be paid for. Fox 25's Katie Arata is breaking it down for us.
OKC voters will now get to decide the fate of the Thunder, voting in December on whether or not the city should foot the bill for a new 750,000 square foot arena to house the NBA team. And the city's mayor is hopeful the vote will pass. He says the new arena will benefit the city in countless ways, providing new jobs and drawing in more tourists.
We haven't had a failed vote in 30 years. One thing that has been very consistent with our voters here in Oklahoma City is their willingness to invest in ourselves. They've seen how it pays off time and time again.
Tuesday, the council approved a letter of intent with the Thunder where the team agreed to stay in OKC for at least 30 years and play in the new proposed arena for at least 25.
And we now have an agreement in place between the city and the Thunder that would secure the team's presence here for another generation. Obviously, there's one major step left, and that is approval by the voters on December 12th.
The new arena would be largely funded by a 1-cent sales tax that would begin after the MAPS 4 tax ends, with the Thunder pitching in $50 million out of the $900 million price tag. Many Oklahomans do not want to pay for a new arena despite their support for the Thunder.
Our arena is going to be 95% on the back of taxpayers. We're in a city that has a tremendous amount of needs. We are often asked to delay things, to delay services that we desperately need. And we just feel that that's an unfair bargain.
Those who say they will vote no on the December 12th election say the new arena should be funded by the team owners.
The Thunder owners collectively are worth at least $25 billion. We need to ask the owners of the Thunder, who are fantastically wealthy, deep ties to Oklahoma, generational businesses here, to pay their fair share.
And that was Katie Arata reporting. So let's break down the cost of that new arena. The $900 million project would be funded primarily through 3 funding sources. The first being a temporary 1-cent sales tax lasting 72 months. It would begin after the expiration of the current MAPS 4 1-cent sales tax. So the current sales tax rate in Oklahoma City would remain exactly the same as it is today. The method of using sales tax shares the overall tax burden with visitors to Oklahoma City. It's estimated that about a quarter of all sales tax in the city is paid by non-OKC residents. And at least $70 million of the funding would come from MAPS 4. That money was previously earmarked for OKC's downtown arena. The owners of the Thunder would also contribute $50 million toward the publicly owned arena.
We want to take a closer look at the history of the current arena. 21 years old, opening back in June 2002 as the Ford Center, owned by the city. It cost $89.2 million to build, was not built for the NBA. Expected to mainly host concerts, minor league hockey, monster truck events, and rodeos. But in 2005, when Louisiana was hit by the Hurricane Katrina, the New Orleans Pelicans, named the Hornets at the time, needed a new place to play. The team opened their season in Oklahoma City in November of 2005, played most of the season there. And 3 years later, Oklahoma City got its own team when the Seattle Supersonics relocated, became the Thunder. The team moved here in 2008 after Seattle and the team could not come to an agreement on a new arena. Now, in April, improvements made to that arena, a new scoreboard, portable seating, 2 new clubs, and updated locker rooms as well. And you go to October 2011, that arena officially renamed the Chesapeake Arena, also known as the Peak, stayed that way for 10 years when the Chesapeake relinquished naming rights there. And in July 2021, that's when we got the iteration we know as today, the Paycom and the Thunder agreeing to a 15-year arena naming rights agreement, giving us the Paycom Center, the Pay Palace, some call it here. The new year, next year, in his State of the City address, Mayor David Holt announced that the first hint of building a new arena, and Fox 25 spoke with him about those plans in August of 2022.
The arrival of Major League Professional Sports just changed the way that we see ourselves and the way the rest of the world sees us. And it seems to be no coincidence that our economy and our population has exploded in the same 15-year period that we've had Major League Professional Sports.
Since the Thunder's arrival in 2008, the city's added about 150,000 to its population, and the estimated annual economic impact of the NBA in Oklahoma City is more than $600 million and 3,000 jobs, according to a 2019 study commissioned by the Thunder. Since the Thunder came to Oklahoma City, they've also jumped from the 37th largest city in the United States to the 20th largest city.
Mayor Holt officially announced the plan to build the new arena earlier this month. He says the 21-year-old arena ranks as one of the cheapest facilities in the NBA and ranks dead last in terms of total square footage. There are concerns the Thunder could leave Oklahoma City if we don't approve a plan for a new arena. The Thunder agreed to a 3-year extension in May, but after that, there will be no legal agreement in place to retain the Thunder in OKC.
We don't have a lease, right? A team does not stay in a city where it does not have a lease. Our lease expired earlier this year. We are now in a very short-term lease with less than 3 years left. And the express stated purpose of the lease, which I explained a year ago, was just to give us time to put an arena deal together. There is no viable future for the NBA in Oklahoma City without a new arena. This team is not going to sign, nor is any other team going to sign a long-term lease to play in an aging, too small, too cheap arena that wasn't even built for the NBA.
But some argue the Thunder moving out of Oklahoma City is a false threat. Current LA Clippers NBA team owner Steve Ballmer spoke recently on a podcast about his timeline of becoming a team owner. He says he originally wanted to buy a team and move it to Seattle, but was told by the current NBA commissioner they don't want teams to relocate anymore.
And I say, hey, I want to buy a team and bring it to Seattle. And Adam says, well, we don't want teams to move anymore. We saw what happened with Seattle move. We really want these teams to stay.
The NBA's bylaws define the rules for a team's relocation. Article 7 calls for approval by majority of the league's board of governors. This includes the engagement of the NBA Relocation Committee, which investigates cause and reasoning for a relocation. As Ballmer mentioned, the Sacramento Kings tried to move to Seattle in 2013, but the board of governors rejected the move in a 22-8 decision.
This new arena project does have some people wondering, is Oklahoma City getting a good deal? Or are the residents getting cheated?
Fox 25's David Chasanoff spoke with those on both sides of this argument. So, David, what did you find out?
Adam and Wendy, some people say the city deserves a better deal, while Mayor Holt says if OKC wants to have a future in professional sports, it needs to move on from the Paycom Center and build a new arena.
Well, a new deal isn't happening.
Mayor David Holt says he suggested Thunder ownership contribute more to the new arena than the $50 million they've already pledged.
I would love more money to be contributed as well, but that's not happening. So you just have to decide if you can live with this deal or not.
Councilwoman Jo Beth Hammond says that financial commitment isn't enough, considering who it's coming from.
They are almost all worth in excess of $1 billion or more dollars. And so to say that $50 million is historic or is a really big investment just doesn't really add up to me.
Though Mayor Holt sees the perks in what Clay Bennett and company chipped in.
Oh, I look at it as $50 million. That's $50 million more than we've ever received. We built arenas in 1937, in 1972, in 1993/2002 for the most recent one. And we've never gotten anybody to contribute to them before.
He says the positives of this deal outweigh what could happen if voters decide against this on December 12th.
To compare it against the idea of not having the team and not having that $600 million in economic impact, not having that brand that we get now internationally, not having the community unity, the quality of life, the concerts, the philanthropy that comes from the team.
While Hammond agrees with the benefits of having the Thunder in OKC, she challenges what she considers negotiating a deal out of fear.
If that's the relationship that we have with this team, is that really a good relationship when you're operating out of a place of sort of being held hostage rather than mutual respect?
On Tuesday, Hammond voted against calling for a December election, saying Holt has not been transparent with the public.
We were not given adequate information as a city council about what this deal actually looks like in comparison to other cities. Is it a really good deal? Was it negotiated well?
Mayor Holt claims he has talked more about a new arena in the last year than anything his entire tenure as mayor, other than the pandemic.
I don't know how we could have been more transparent. I've shared every sort of detail that we had along this journey.
Regardless, this is all up to voters on December 12th, and you can watch the full interviews from Mayor Holt and Councilwoman Hammond on our website right now. That's OKCFox.com. Reporting live in Oklahoma City, David Chasanoff, Fox 25 News.
Great stuff there, David. Thank you. And that proposal for the new arena has sparked further debate on social media. Jason Gallagher, the producer of a Top 5 NBA podcast, chiming in. Gallagher says Oklahomans are getting fleeced in this new deal, and he actually says he wants to see the Thunder stay and prosper in Oklahoma, adding they are going to crush the NBA for the next decade. We can only hope, right? He just believes they need to ask more from the owners. And Mayor Holt saw this and responded, calling the idea of ownership paying more for the arena fantastical, considering we're living in the 42nd market, and there are 18 bigger markets that don't have NBA teams, and some already have $1 billion arenas just sitting there waiting for a team. And he added that this is a business, and based on our size, Oklahoma City lucky to be in the NBA business, and we won't get the same deals that larger markets get. Now, Gallagher, responded, posted a video agreeing with some of the mayor's points, but still insisting ownership should be paying more.
The mayor said that he's operating in reality. This is the cost of doing business, and I don't disagree with him. The second thing that feels really, really obvious to me is that the city doesn't have a lot of leverage, and I've heard that from a lot of folks. I completely agree. The city has very little leverage. The part that makes people go, whoa, is when you look at how much the ownership group is taking advantage of their leverage. That part is really surprising. When you look around the NBA, small market, big market, whatever, usually the ownership group tries to meet the community somewhat halfway. Definitely not 95% taxpayers pay, 5% wealthy owners pay. That's a lopsided deal. The truth is there's a lot of people who love the Thunder and a lot of people who feel it's vital to the city. And so if you love the Thunder, you're likely going to have to vote for this deal. And I would just never begrudge anyone for doing that. So I wish I wouldn't have, given like kind of a judgy tweet, because I get it. I get why someone would vote for it. So that's it. I wish the owners were a little better. That's all.
Special election vote takes place December 12th. If it passes, the new arena expected to be open by the 2029-2030 season.
And that was your big story breakdown tonight. You can find more on the proposed arena and that upcoming special election on OKCFox.com.